Welcome to another great episode of Grow Through Positivity. Today I'm excited to have Tzvi Schwartz back, the man himself that introduced the gold of EOS to myself. I was fortunate to grow the Hope organization with that, and then I fell in love with it. So we became an EOS implementer as well. With that being said, last time we touched on some great points around culture and core values. Although I know it's a conversation that we could probably spend 2 to 3 hours like we do with our clients. However, in 12 minutes or so, I'd like to bring to the audience on LinkedIn the discipline and tools and importance of what does it mean to have a intentional culture in a company. What does it take to build that out? So Tzvi, introduce yourself one more time to the audience and take it away.
Okay, Elie, I appreciate that you invited me to come back. It's nice to be here again and see you again on this format. I love that we're going to talk about culture. It's actually one of my most favorite things to talk about. To be honest, it is one of the most misunderstood pieces of any business, definitely part of the EOS implementation. People look at it sometimes as like, oh, it's like, yeah, it's culture. It's a fluffy thing. Like, we'll talk about values and our missions. Let's just talk about numbers. Let's talk about goals. When are we making more money? Let's go on. Show me the scorecard. And I get that. But the problem is that what people don't understand is that all those results, all of that good stuff comes from culture. So I think it's important that we define, what does that even mean? What is culture? It's not like some people think that classic Google style, let's buy a ping pong table and nice coffee machine, which is also a nice thing, but that's not really what culture is. Culture is this deep feeling that I belong. I enjoy being part of something. I enjoy working with these people, and I feel good when I'm here, and I feel focused when I'm here. I mean, think about it for a second, then we'll get into what that is. Imagine a person wakes up in the morning and they come to the office, and they're shutting down in a sense that they're feeling nervous. They're feeling a little bit anxiety. They don't feel the work that they're doing is that important. They don't really enjoy working with the people around them. I mean, think about it. How well do you think they're going to work that day? We've all had it where you wake up in the morning, you don't feel so good that day. Even if it's a physical thing. I have a headache today, or my back is hurting. You don't give your full amount to the work you're doing. Like, if we're lucky, you do 50% of what you're supposed to do that day. And everybody knows that if you're feeling a little bit off that day, everybody around you feels a little bit off that day, because now everybody's like, well, let's not mess with him today, or let's not mess with her today, because like they're in a bad mood or they're not feeling good, which means now you're spreading these vibes to everybody else. So I ask you, especially to the owners and the CEOs, do you really believe you're going to hit your numbers and your results and your goals if everybody's feeling off? It's just not possible. So the trick, the secret to really getting your goals, the money you want to make, the profit, and the results you want, it comes from culture. It comes from how people feel. So let's talk a little bit about, what does it mean? What is culture? What does it mean to feel a certain way? And why does it work when you have these two people together, but it won't work when these two people go together? What is the magic formula, and how does it happen? I think that's where, if I understood correctly, that's where I think you want to go today. So let's have some fun with that. Are we ready?
Yes. Yeah, let's do it. But I want to emphasis on the sense of what I call the intentional culture and the unintentional culture. And I think Pat Lencioni has this awesome Venn diagram that we use, in the sense of the 3 areas where people could reflect, let's call it, and do a little deeper digging to understand, do they have core values to have the expectation of the right culture? So let's break that down for people in regards to recognize, for those that are watching, where you are today, and you may have the intentional, you may have the unintentional, what it would look like with having a real intentional, where you're really getting the team together and everyone is feeding off each other's values to create this awesome culture.
Okay, I think that's a great approach. So before I go to that approach, let me just live a little bit of context, a little bit personal story, a little bit personal history that actually, I think will really bring this to the surface and make this work. Several years ago, I had the chance to go with my family. We went to Cancun. It was the first time I ever went, and it was nice. I haven't really been to Mexico prior to that, and I don't speak any Spanish. I mean, maybe one or two words, you know. Somebody once taught me a curse word, or, hey, que paso, like, how you doing? That's about the extent of what I know, really, to be honest. So I went to Mexico, and I was there for about a week. And while being there for a week, you know, I downloaded an app about how to translate certain things. I kind of planned a little bit with the help of somebody else where we're going to stay, what we're going to do. And for the week that I was there, it was manageable. You know, I chose not to rent a car because I don't really know the streets. I chose, you know, to stay in an area where there's English-speaking people, so I'll have no problem getting along and talking to people if I get stuck with something. You know, for the week that I was there, it was manageable. Why am I stressing this with you? Because let's play pretend for a second. Let's play pretend that for whatever reason, I get stuck in Mexico. And now, for whatever reason, I can't go back to the United States. I can't go back to New York, where I'm from. And now, I'm not there for a week. Now I'm going to be there for a much longer period of time. All of a sudden, I find myself like a fish out of water in a place with people where I don't know the laws. I don't know literally the culture. I don't eat their food. I don't know their style. I don't speak their language. It's not because they're better than I am and I'm worse than they are. It's just that we're not a good fit for each other. For the 1 week that I was there, I was able to make it look like I fit. I was able to fake it for a little while. As a matter of fact, I was actually sitting with I was sitting with my family on a bus ride to go somewhere on one of these excursions, and everybody around me was talking Spanish. Okay, I'm just minding my own business. All of a sudden, I heard a voice 2 rows behind me with that Brooklyn accent, New York accent, and all of a sudden, this guy starts talking about. I turn around and I see this guy. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Where are you from? And he's like, he was from Brooklyn, and we had a great conversation. So I'm asking him, how does that happen? All of a sudden, we started having a good conversation. We hung out a little bit for the rest of the day. We were going to the same place. I don't know the guy. If I would have seen this guy walking on Manhattan and Fifth Avenue, and all of a sudden I would have heard him talking, and I would have been like, hey, high five, what's up, man? He would have looked at me like I'm crazy, like, go away from me. Why are you following me? But we all of a sudden had a bond where all of a sudden we shared something that made us naturally connect to each other, more so than everybody else around me. And it was almost easy. It was so easy to have enjoyment with the rest of the day. Why am I sharing this with you? Culture and core values, yes, with the Venn diagram, let's talk about, has everything to do with this concept. It's not about somebody's a bad employee versus a good employee. It's good fit versus bad fit. Some people naturally, like me and that guy from Brooklyn, we naturally will get along. We share similar stuff. The other people, I couldn't be my greatest version of myself in Mexico, not because I'm a bad guy, but because I'm a bad fit. It's not my place. I will never volunteer to do more. I will never be able to take on more because I already was very cautious of the fact that I'm in a weird situation that I'm not comfortable with, and it would only last for a week. So how do you get it to work that way? So Patrick Lencioni makes a few of these criteria, a few filters, we'll call it, even with this Venn diagram. He talks about if you're working on your core values and you want to pressure test them, those 3 to 5 values that you want to say, this is what it means to fit into our company, whatever the values are. How do you filter out to make sure the wrong people then get, that you pick the right values and it's meaningful and the right people will get it? Number one is he talks about there's no compromising on the value. If you find that, you know, for a good client, we'll look the other way, you know, and, you know, for like, well, this guy's my family member, like, you know, so he has the same last name as I am. So you know what, let's let them stick around in the company for longer. And you would do stuff that way. That means you would compromise. So if you're going to tell me your core value is to, you know, to do whatever it takes to get something done, but, you know, for certain people, we're going to make an exception because, you know, they're very valuable to us, or we're not going to do that. That means it's a very nice idea, but it's not really what your value is. I have a client who it wasn't even so easy for him to do this, but he let go of his own brother. His brother was with him from the beginning of him building up his company, but he realized him and his brother just don't think and feel the same way. They have different values. Values are attitudes, behavioral attitudes of when I'm in a situation with another person, these are the attitudes that I use to govern how I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Him and his brother they were nice people, very talented, but they didn't share the same set of attitudes and values. They didn't think the same way. How did I know that his core values were real? Because he was even willing to let go of his own sibling, which was not an easy move, because simply had to go find another job. The kid had a family. He obviously helped him, and he helped him find another job, gave him a few dollars when he left. He didn't just kick him out the door, but he said, you don't fit in here, and it's hurting all of us. And he didn't compromise. So the fact that he didn't compromise, that was criteria filter number one. You will know your core value is true if you are willing to let go of a person who's been with you for a long time, a person who maybe even is one of your better contributors from sales or operations, but they're just not fitting in. And you're realizing that your value is more important. The attitude and the future of what you want to accomplish has everything to do with that. And you're willing to not compromise. Then you know that you have criteria number one is there. Another one that Patrick Lencioni mentions over there is that they're not aspirational. It's not a value that you aspire to be. I have clients who will come up with core values and they're like, these are all really good. You know, we'll just pick 5. Any of them will good. They all sound good. What's the worst that will happen? If you claim this is my value, which is, let's say, to, you know, respect everyone, right? That's my value, to always show respect to everyone. But you are on your phone in the middle of a meeting, which means you're not respecting everyone around you, or you show up late to a meeting, or, you know, you talk behind people's backs, you know, because that's just, you know, it's business, or we have to. That means that's not really your value. You might want to be that person. You might even see the value, quote unquote, of being that, but you're not that. How in the world are you going to roll out your core values to your company and say, everybody, we are going to be this respect everyone culture, and they're going to look at you like, yeah, but you don't do that. Which means not only is it not going to work, it's going to backfire. Now, everything you tell your employees, they're not going to believe anything you say, because they're going to be like, let me get this straight. You say this, but you do this, which means it's confusing for them. Or they're going to be like, so what are you telling us that's the truth? So if it's something you aspire to be, work on it. Make it a goal. Make it a rock even. When you are naturally that good, then you could maybe insert it or update your core values as such. Your values are who you are at your natural best, who you are when you wake up in the morning. They are who you are when you're under pressure. Your natural default way, those are your values. Can you work on it? Can you grow? Can you learn? Yes. Can a person behaviorally change their attitude? Yes. It takes a lot of work. So that's why we're not necessarily looking to bring people in and change them. I always explain to the companies I'm working with, your job is to select people, not to train people. We're not a school. We're not here to teach people how to do these values. We're here to select people that already have these values. The third thing Patrick Lencioni talks about is that they're not accidental. Accidental is like, let's say we all, you know, brush our hair a certain way, or we all wear a white shirt, or we all wear a certain type of jacket to work. And it almost looks like we are really into this thing. Like we all eat sushi on Wednesdays. That doesn't become your core value. That just means we all happen to like sushi, or we all like white shirts. So I've met companies that even from a religious perspective, they all look or act a certain way and think our culture is to be inclusive of these types of people. But if they would bring in somebody who wears a blue shirt, or they bring in somebody who maybe doesn't have the exact same cultural background as they have, and they would make that exception, that means the fact that you all look or talk a certain way is totally accidental. That's not really your value. So make sure you're filtering out, like, is this accidental? Like we all happen to be this way? Or is this truly what we believe in, that I wouldn't even hire somebody unless they wear a white shirt and eat sushi every day?
Excellent. We got to hold it right there in order to be able to put this up live. So that brings us to an end of 14 minutes. If you learned anything about culture or core values, or you'd like to learn more about it, feel free to reach out to any EOS implementer, especially Tzvi.
I wish we had more time. We got to do. Let's go for number 3. One day we got to do number 3 and go much deeper into this, like you said.
Excellent. Thank you, Tzvi.
Thank you for having me on, Elie. I appreciate it as always.